In this video, we will see how we can create the simplest Spring Boot project, that too without database. And what all things this video will cover is a get mapping, which will list all the employees present in our list. Then it will have an endpoint get employee by ID to find an employee in our list by the given ID of the user. Then we will have one post mapping endpoint which will help us add an employee to our existing list. Then with this put mapping, we will be updating the employee, and with this delete mapping, we will be deleting that employee. So let us start creating our video. So to see here, what you will have to do, go to your IDE, that can be Eclipse or STS. I prefer STS. So right click, new, Spring Starter project. So you will see this screen, and here we will name our application Simple Spring Boot app. And here you see an option Gradle Groovy. So choose Maven if you are just practicing. Maven and Gradles are building application building build tools. Both of them are equally good, but for beginners, Maven is bit easier. And say if you are using Spring Boot 3, then Java 17 is the minimum Java version that is required. So make sure that you have Java 17 installed on your system. This snapshot we will leave as it is. Everything we will leave as it is. And now on this screen, you are supposed to choose Spring Starter projects. They those are nothing but some configuration that are already present. It's a group of configurations. So we will need only one starter, that is Spring Web. Next, finish. So if we open this, you will see it is still in progress. Let it finish. So if you open, you will see Spring Boot has created many files already and a folder structure for you. So here you will find your Spring Boot application. This is the starting point from where your Spring Boot application starts. So let us open it. It's taking some time. Okay. So now we will create our models. I have created this package. Inside this package, I will be creating one model class that will be employee, and inside this employee, we will have ID, and we will have name, and then we will have department of this employee. And here, just right click, go to source, generate getters and setters. Select all of these and click on generate. So Eclipse will generate getters and setters for you. And similarly, right click, source, generate toString method. So it will generate toString method for you. Then similarly go to source, generate constructor using field in this. And when you create this argument constructor, then you will have to create a no argument constructor. Otherwise, Java will not automatically supply it. So let us create one no argument constructor. So we are done with our model class. Now we will be creating one package for our controllers. And since our model class name is employee, our controller will be named as employee controller. Employee controller. Here we will write @rest controller. So when we write this @rest controller, Spring Boot knows that this controller is going to be a REST service. @request map. So we have API in here. Now since we are not using database, so what we will do, we will create one list of employees that will act as database for us. So let us create one list, private, and we will create it as a static list employee employees equal to new array list. And what I did, I just pressed Control Shift O, so it has imported all the missing imports. Now what we will do, using a static block, we will add some employees in this list so that whenever our application starts, we have at least 2 to 3 employees already in our employees list. So what we will do, employees dot add new employee, and ID will be 1L, name will be, let us say, EMP1, department will be D department 1. Similarly, we will add at least 5 employees. 2, sorry, 3, 4, 5, L. We are using this L because we have declared our employee ID as long. So if we simply write 1 here, it will consider it as int and it will start giving error. That is why we are writing L here. If you take employee ID as integer, then you don't have to write this L. 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we will create our first endpoint that is going to return all these employees. Okay. So we'll write @get mapping, and this will be employees. After this, public. Since this is going to return a list of employees, return type would be list of employees. Get employees, and this will not take any input, and this method will simply return employees. So now let us start our application. So what you will have to do, you will have to right click, run as Spring Boot app, and then we will see our application starting in console, and see it has started at localhost 8080. So now we will go to our Postman and we'll try to hit our first endpoint. Yeah. So our application is running on localhost 8080, and then we need a get mapping. Where is the get mapping? Let us change this to get mapping. and after API we will have to write here employees, and then we will hit it. See, it is returning list of all 5 employees to us. Now we will move on to our second endpoint, that is get employee by ID. So we will go and create our second endpoint. So second endpoint will also be a get mapping, and this will be mapped to employees, get employees, and then this ID we will read from path of the URL. So it will be part of our URL. Public, and since this is going to return only one employee, so we will have return type as employee, get employee by ID, and to read this ID from the path of the request, we will have to make use of @path variable, and we will make use of ID. So long emp ID. Now what we will have to do, we will have to search this employee ID in our this list. So what we will do, we will iterate over this using enhance for loop. So we will write code like this, emp in employees, and what we will do, if emp dot get id emp id that is equals the employee id given by user. That means this employee is present in our list. So what we will do, we will return this employee, this one. Otherwise, we will return null. So we will get empty response. Now what we will have to do, we will have to restart this application. So let us restart this. Meanwhile, this is starting. Let us go to our Postman. And this time we will create, let us copy this. This time we will create one get mapping and simply pass ID here. So we pass ID, we are passing ID as 1. So what we should get this employee. So let us try whether we are getting it or not. See, we are getting employee 1. Now let us try to pass ID 4. We should get employee 4. Yes, we are getting it. Now let us try to send 40. And since this is not present, we should get empty response here. Yes. So our get endpoint is also working. Now let us move on to our third mapping, that is post mapping. So now what we will do, we will create one post endpoint, and that will help us create or add one more employee to the list. So currently we have 5. Now using this post endpoint, what we will do, we will add one more. So we will have 6. Let us create it. So now we will have to create a post mapping, and this will be simply add. We will name it as public employee add employee. Now if you go and see the postman, right, from here what we can do, we will be passing an employee like this. So how will this get converted to your object, employee object? So for that, what we will have to do, yeah, we will be passing like this, and we'll name it as add And how will this get converted to your employee object? So for that, what we will have to do, we will have to write something called as @request body. This is Spring's annotation. And when you write this, Spring knows that when somebody is writing @request body, that request should be converted to this object. Let's terminate this. Now what we will have to do, we will have to simply add this new employee to our employee list, and we will return this employee and tell user that your employee got added here. So let us restart the application, debug as Spring Boot application. So our application has started. Let us go to Postman, and to hit post request, what you will have to do, you will have to provide this body. Okay. So already we have 5 employees. So what we will do, we'll create employee 6 and department 6. And in this, you will have to select raw. See, if I select none, then there will be nothing. You will have to select raw, and from this drop down, you will have to select JSON. And now I'll hit it. Employee ID is null. I think I'll have to write. Let us try to create one more. Okay. Somehow this ID is not okay. This ID is not getting set because here I have written ID. I'll have to write this. That request. Hmm. So now let us try to list how many employees are there in our list. So till now we were getting 5. Now when I am hitting it, see, I have got many employees. 8 actually. Now let us move on to our next endpoint, that is put or update. So using this endpoint, we are going to update an employee. So what user will pass us an ID, and we will find that employee in our list with that ID. And if that is present, then in that case, we will be updating it. So let us see how we can update it. So what we will do is stop the application, put mapping, and this will be slash update and then ID. And this ID, as you know, is going to be your path variable. Let us create our method employee update employee, and this time you will use path variable with what ID, oh, sorry, ID, and this will be your long emp ID, and again we will find this user. So we will have to iterate over our list with enhanced for loop. It will be similar to what we did when we were searching the employee. Now this time we will have to simply search and update. So what we will do, write same code emp dot get emp id dot equals with the id provided by user. What we will do, now we will update this. So here I have forgotten one thing, that you are sending this id just to find that employee. But what are the values that are going to be set? So to set that, we will have to make use of request body as well. And here we will pass, say, updated employee. What we will do, emp.set department from updated employee dot get department, and emp.set name is updated employee dot get name, and simply return this employee. Otherwise, return null. Let us restart the application. Go to your Postman, search for put mapping. And if you see in this put mapping, we are making use of path variable. So we will have to send ID. And also we are going to make use of request body. So you will have to send body as well. So if you see here, what I am trying to do, I will update employee with ID 5, and its name will become employee 6 and department will become employee department 6. So first check what all employees we have. Now if you see, since in our static list we have added only 5 employees, so whenever application starts, we will have this employee list pre-initialized for us. Now what we are going to do, we are going to change this EMP 5 to employee 6 and this department 5 to department 6. Let us see if it works. Okay. Put mapping, we have updated it to update and then 5 you will have to do. Otherwise you will get this not found. See, this got changed. Now let us go and see. Now whenever I'm hitting, this should be employee 6 and this should be department 6. See, this got changed. So in this way we can update the employees. Now let us move on to our last endpoint, that is delete employee. So through this endpoint we will be deleting employee from our list. Let us go and create it. Stop application, delete mapping, and this will be mapped to your delete id, and here you know that this is path variable public employee delete employee, then at the rate path variable, and this id we will read it as long emp id, and this text and this text should match, otherwise this will not be mapped. So what I'll do again, this time we will have to iterate on our list using iterator, because what happens if you iterate over your list like this and try to remove an object from there, you will get concurrent modification exception. So what we will do, we will have one iterator, java util.iterator, and this iterator will be of employee type emp itr, and this we will get how employees.iterator, and we will make use of while loop and see emp itr dot has next. So this tells us that your list still have some members there. So employee emp say emp itr dot next. This next will return us employee, and we will check if this emp dot get emp id dot equals the ID that was passed by user. Then what we will have to do, we will have to simply do emp itr dot remove. So this iterator will remove this employee from the list. And what we will do, we will simply return this emp. Otherwise, what we will have to do, you know it, just return null. Now let us start the application. So if you would have noticed that sometimes I am starting my application from here and sometimes I am doing right click and run debug as Spring Boot application. Both of them are same. So you can use any of the option. There is a third option as well. You can right click and restart or debug from here. So let us do it. Now let's move to our Postman. Have this delete mapping and we have changed it to delete and say 3. When you say 3, it will delete the employee with ID 3. Let us try to first delete employee with ID 2. See, if you are getting this response, that means this employee got deleted. How we can check it? We will have to go to our get all employees and we'll see. This 2 should be removed from here. See, after 1 directly 3 is coming. So now we have only 4 employees in our list. So this will mark the end of our video. And if you get any doubt in this project, you can post it in our Telegram group, whose link I will provide in description box.